Whatever crossed in front of my headlights that October night, I had 3 full seconds of light on it. 3 seconds is a long time when something is crossing your lane, long enough to understand that what you're looking at has no name, and that part of you already knew that before your brain finished processing it. I'm 34, I live in Duluth, Minnesota, and I drive rural highway regularly for work. I don't drink. I've never had a hallucination in my life. I've driven that route more nights than I can count. I'm telling you this not as a disclaimer, but because what I'm about to describe requires that context. October, nearly 11 p.m., heading north on a 2-lane blacktop through dense forest, the kind of road where your headlights are the only light for 15 minutes at a stretch, and the tree line comes right up to the shoulder. I was alert. You have to be on roads like that, because deer come out of nowhere, and a deer at speed will kill you just as efficiently as anything else. I was watching the shoulders when something came out of the right side tree line. Fast. Genuinely fast. The kind of speed that moved my foot toward the brake before my brain had formed the thought to brake. I hit the pedal and it crossed the road, both lanes, and I had 3 full seconds of headlights on it before it went into the left side trees. It was not a deer. It was not a bear. It moved on 4 limbs, but the limbs were wrong in a way I'm going to try to describe carefully. They were too long, not just large animal long, wrong proportioned long, like the length of them implied a body plan I don't have a reference for, something that was built for different terrain than a Minnesota forest. The color was deep gray-brown, almost exactly the color of dead winter bark, which is possibly why I never saw it on the shoulder before it moved. And the surface, this is the part I keep coming back to. The surface was not fur. It wasn't smooth, it wasn't hide. It looked textured in a way that seemed deliberate, like something manufactured rather than grown. And then it turned its head. The body kept moving, crossing the road, heading for the left side trees, but the head rotated toward my headlights, turned, and kept turning, past the point where a head should be able to turn. Like an owl, but bigger and wronger. And it held the rotation and looked directly into my lights for what felt like a long time and was probably less than a second. Then it was gone into the trees. I pulled onto the shoulder, hazard lights on. My hands were shaking, not a little, badly. I am not someone whose hands shake. I sat there for almost 15 minutes and I could not make them stop. I called my wife. I told her I'd hit something, which wasn't true, I'd missed it, because I didn't know how to say what I'd actually seen to someone on the phone in a normal register. I told her I was fine and I'd be home late. I didn't tell her about the head. I haven't told anyone about the head until right now. I've spent a significant amount of time in wildlife databases since then. I've gone through every large mammal in northern Minnesota. I've looked at trail camera forums, cryptid communities, hunting boards. I've asked people who spend more time in those forests than I do. Nothing matches. I still drive that route. I have to. But I drive it faster now, especially through the forested sections. And when I catch movement in my peripheral, which happens all the time on that road, I look forward. I don't turn my head. I decided that whatever crosses that road at night, I don't need 3 more seconds of headlights on it. One look was more than enough. Something stood outside my tent for 45 minutes. It didn't circle, didn't sniff around, didn't investigate the way animals do. It just stood in one spot and breathed. When it finally left, it walked away on two legs. I have the impressions in the soil to prove something was there. I haven't gone back since. I'm 28. I was backpacking solo in the Smoky Mountains when this happened, 2 summers ago. I have well over 60 nights in backcountry. I know what wildlife sounds like. Bears, coyotes, raccoons getting into your kit. I know the difference between something you should be concerned about and something you shouldn't. I did not know what this was. Good campsite, about 9 miles from the nearest trailhead on the bank of a creek. Clear night, mid-August, warm. I was asleep by 9:30. I woke up at just past 2 to breathing outside the tent. Not close to the wall, maybe 12, 15 feet out. Slow. Not the investigative snuffling of a bear checking your camp. Not moving. Whatever was out there was stationary and breathing, and the breathing was slower than it should have been for something that had just been moving. I ran through the inventory bear circles camp and sniffs. It moves. Coyote wouldn't be this close without vocalizing. Deer would have spooked at any sound I made. Whatever this was, it wasn't behaving like anything in my mental catalog. I lay still and I waited for it to move. It didn't move. For 45 minutes, I lay in my sleeping bag and listened to something stand outside my tent and breathe. I watched the time on my watch because I needed something to focus on. I did not open the zipper. Every animal instinct I had said, do not open the tent. Don't reach for your torch. Don't make a sound. Don't do anything that would confirm you were in there. At the 45-minute mark, the breathing stopped. Not gradually, mid-exhale. It just cut off, like a recording stopping. And then, footsteps, moving away, back toward the creek and the tree line. And the pace and weight of them, I've gone over this so many times. The weight distribution was bipedal, 2 points of contact, evenly spaced. The gait of something walking upright. I know what a bear sounds like moving on all fours. I know what a bear sounds like rearing up. This was neither of those things. Whatever it was, walked away on 2 legs. I did not sleep again. I lay in that tent until full light, and when I went out in the morning, I went to the spot where it had been standing. The ground was soft. It had rained 2 days before. There were impressions in the soil, oval, roughly, and large, set at the spacing of a bipedal gait. I took photographs. I've shown them to 2 people. I'm not putting them online because I don't want the conversation that comes with that. But something was there. Something with real weight stood 3 meters from me for 45 minutes, and I will never, ever know what it wanted. I camp with other people now. I haven't done a solo trip since. I've thought about it. I've planned it. I've gotten close. But every time I get to the part where I'm alone in my tent and the night is quiet, I hear that breathing again, slow and patient and not moving, and I book a campsite with group reservations instead. I don't think I'll ever solo again. Something knocked on the second-floor bedroom window at 3 a.m. We're 15 feet off the ground. There's no ledge, no roof, no trellis, no tree anywhere near that window. The police came and found no marks in the snow and no explanation. What the officer told me before he left is the part I haven't been able to let go of. I'm 25. I'm in Christchurch, New Zealand, and this was last December, so our summer, warm nights, no particular reason to be unsettled. Me and my partner were house-sitting for her aunt. Normal detached house in a residential suburb, neighbors close on both sides, streetlights, the whole ordinary setup, not remote, not spooky. Just a house. Midnight, living room, watching something on TV, and something knocked on the window. Not the front door, the living room window, facing the street, 4 feet off the ground. 3 knocks, deliberate and evenly spaced, knuckle on glass, the sound you'd make if you were intentionally trying to get someone's attention. We both looked up at the same time. My partner said it was probably a branch. There are no trees in the front yard of that house. I didn't say that. I went to the window, checked the porch light, looked out at the yard. Nothing. Empty street, lit, no one visible anywhere. We sat back down. 2 minutes later, 3 knocks again. Same window, same pace, same deliberate spacing. I went back. I unlocked the window and opened it 6 inches and looked directly out into the night. Nothing. Not even footprints in the damp grass beneath the window. We went to the bedroom and locked the door. Neither of us was pretending to be fine. We sat on the bed with the light on, and we talked about anything else, and we waited. At 3 a.m., the bedroom window knocked. Our bedroom is on the 2nd floor. That window is 15 feet off the ground. Directly beneath it is a concrete path. No ledge, no drain pipe close enough to grab, no structure of any kind. The window is set flush into the wall. There is physically nothing for a person to stand on to reach that glass. And it was 3 knocks. The same 3 knocks. The same spacing. The same sound. I called the police. They were there within 10 minutes, walked the entire perimeter of the property with torches. Nobody there. No footprints in the dew on the path beneath the bedroom window. No marks on the brickwork. No sign that anything or anyone had been near it from the outside. Before the officer left, he asked if there'd been any other unusual activity at the property. I said no. He wrote something in his notebook. And then he mentioned, almost as an aside, like he was deciding whether to say it, that they'd had 1 other call from this street in the last 3 months with a similar description. I asked what had come of it. Same as this, he said. Nothing there when we arrived. He looked at me for a moment, longer than felt routine. Then he said, "Lock your windows tonight. Not lock your doors, windows, 2nd floor." I've thought about that a lot. Why windows? Why 2nd floor? What he'd seen before or heard before that made him say that specific thing in that specific order. We didn't finish the house sit. Left 2 days later. I've never told my partner's aunt why. The police have been to that street twice now with the same description. Both times, nothing found. Whatever is there is very good at not being found. Like, share, and subscribe.